Prime Minister for you, sir.
First Sea Lord here.
And now, First Sea Lord, I want to make it unmistakably clear that there is absolutely nothing as vital to the nation at this moment as the destruction of the Bismarck. You are authorized to employ any means at your disposal, regardless of risk and regardless of the price that must be paid. This is a battle we cannot afford to lose.
I understand, sir.
I don't care how you do it. You must sink the Bismarck. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Howdy viewers, Lance Corporal Hartley here. Welcome to Scenario 4 of the Ukraine campaign. And as the intro movie said, we've got to win at any cost. This is the final scenario. Nothing more to say after this, and this is a very confronting scenario, 3 hours long. One company at the start for the Ukrainians and another as a reinforcement. And as you can see, we've already knocked out a couple of Russian vehicles, left them burning. And we're pushing up with our first company on the right flank, right down the guts. We've got a lot of moving parts, and our first job is to get across the ploughed field without being zapped by enemy helicopters, defending Russians with artillery, tanks, BMP-3s. And right now we're using our tanks in the vanguard and waiting for the BTRs to come up and run across the open field to take the first occupied position of the Russians. And of course we've discovered our first minefield. It slows down progress and causes both casualties and vehicle immobilizations. Russians must have a TRP on their tree line because the artillery came down very fast, moving cautiously over the ploughed field. RPGs already coming out. Must be infantry in the tree line around the destroyed BMP-3. And we've got our first bulk and immobilised BTR-4 that is being spotted by Russian artillery. With the Russian artillery about to rain hell, we move our BTRs up. That'll be a key feature for the rest of the scenario. Except that sometimes we're too slow to put our infantry into the MTLB. Sucks to be those Russians, but we detect further Russians in the far right tree line. We push our infantry forward. Need to take this position, and our choppers appear overhead, hopefully to rain hell on the Russians. Our choppers are firing on some vehicles moving in the back line. No obvious hits. Russian tanks are on the move on the right. Get ready, boys. Missiles, BTRs, tanks, get ready. tank spotted on the right. Missile away. Bloody hell. It's wise to unload your troopers before you become a target. That sucks to be him. Another T-72 down. Let's bag a third with our missile team. That's 3 for 1. Good ratio. Five Russian vehicles are now destroyed, but there are more in the backfield. Another 4 or 5.
Розрив бачу. Розрив бачу.
Another Russian vehicle down. Bloody hell, Russian helicopters appear overhead. Lucky our tanks have got APS. We use the smoke in front of the Russian positions to maneuver our forces through the gap and into the tree line on the right. Bloody hell. Finally, my second company reinforcements arrive, but I'm not sure what to do with them. I'll wait until there's developments on the right flank before I commit them. The alternative is to push them into the woods on the left side. Russian missiles just seem to keep coming. We've used the smokescreen in front of the Russians on the right to maneuver our tank and ATGM forces to get a shot once the smoke clears. The Russians have far better sight of us than we of them. More bloody missiles. Who knows what's going on here? Even out reinforcements are getting hammered by the choppers. Finally, we decide to commit to a push with our reinforcements onto the left. We relocate 5 of our tanks from the right hand side and push them over to the woods on the centre left.
Пристрілка. Прийнято.
This is the crossroad of death for the whole game. Russian artillery just keeps smacking the crossroads.
Коригуйте вогонь. Відбій.
We've rearranged our forces and about to push through with several tanks and BTR platoons through the woods on the left hand side.
Коригуйте вогонь. Пристрілка. Прийнято.
The left flank seems too quiet, so we send the BTR up the road. Damn it, there's a whole string of mines through the woods on that left flank. Back on the right, we use artillery to force a passage. With a bit of luck, the Russian tanks pop smoke, so we use that as cover to move up our own vehicles and take out 3 T-72s. With a little bit of luck, I must say. Back on the left flank, there must be a TRP close by. One BTR has been immobilised and we need to reorientate our forces to escape the artillery fire. The assault through the woods is going well. One BTR destroyed by mines. Another one immobilised. And we've now started to pick off the BMP-3s. Sadly, I can't help this engineer platoon any further. There's so much vehicle smoke on the left woods. It's not clear who can see who.
Пристрілка. Прийнято.
And that is the last of 3 BMPs on the left.
Розрив бачу. Відбій. Пристрілка.
We pull back our tanks on the left because we don't like that attack vector through a ploughed field. And for good reason, there's ATGMs ahead.
бачу. Відбій.
We reposition our forces to attack across the wheat field. We've pushed first company up the right flank and taken the woods, and we're about to take control over the highway.
Розрив бачу.
Our choppers continue to seek out the easy targets.
Розрив бачу.
We've just destroyed a BMP-3 guarding the exit from the highway. Now we've got access to the rear of the Russians' positions. Back on the left, there's a bloody sneaky Russian BMP-3. It's going to destroy us if we cross the wheat field. We've repositioned some ATGM teams to try to get line of sight on that BMP on the left. We also tried to push out a tank to destroy that BMP-3, but our tank gets hammered. The BTR we kept on the left was able to sneak up and get a flank shot on that BMP-3. Now we can see our tanks racing across the wheat field. Our choppers pound artillery positions around the HQ. Our tanks on the right start to degrade Russian forces in the rear.
Пристрілка.
Our tanks have reached the tree line past the wheat field on the left. Now we need our engineers to break into the maintenance facilities. But our engineers have got to come all the way from the right flank.
Розрив бачу. Відбій.
Meanwhile, we bring up our BTRs and infantry through the wheat field, get ready for the push into the maintenance facilities. And once the BTRs have arrived, there's nothing like a bit of gunfire to soften up enemy positions.
Час підльоту.
And our tanks continue to grind away on the right.
Розрив бачу. Відбій. Прийнято. Накривання цілі. Прийом.
Перший, бачу ціль. Наберу
Our engineers continue their journey.
роботу дозволяє.
Пристрілка.
Приймемо. Переносимо.
And in the wheat field, one of our BTRs has bogged and then immobilized. So our boys will have to walk. The engineers have arrived at the tree line. Now they have to hoof it to the brick walls of the maintenance facilities. With the losses suffered so far, our forces have become degraded in their morale, and even our tanks are falling back when they get hit by regular assault rifle fire.
Час підльоту 30
Our
секунд.
artillery spotters do see the Russian HQ, so we start to pound it with artillery. We push some forces into the maintenance facilities, blown some holes. There's a lot of defensive fire from the Russians. And our plan for the rest of the scenario is push through the barracks, then the admin building up to the HQ. Or from the bottom of the screen, we push forward into the hospital and then do a right hook around into the HQ. Russian artillery is going to hit that tree line, so let's pull back.
Коригуйте вогонь.
There's nothing like artillery fire to encourage our boys to hoof it through our cabbage patch.
Коригуйте вогонь.
And we continue to feed troops into the maintenance facilities.
Розрив бачу.
On the right flank, we continue to put pressure on the Russians and now push out a platoon of BTRs.
Пристрілка. Прийнято. бачу. Пристрілка. Прийнято.
And that's 2 BMPs down for the loss of a BTR.
Пристрілка. Пристрілка.
On the left flank, there's some kind of mystery BMP-3 in the maintenance facility, taking a toll on our BTRs.
Розрив бачу. Відбій. Переносим.
But our ATGM teams have targets of their own.
Розрив бачу.
Розрив бачу. Розрив бачу. Відбій.
Розрив бачу.
Розрив бачу. Розрив бачу. Переносим. Розрив бачу. Розрив бачу. Відбій. Розрив бачу. Відбій.
We send out a tank to deal with the mystery BMP-3 on the left-hand side.
Розрив бачу.
Пристрілка.
Пристрілка.
Пристрілка. Прийнято.
More of our engineers move to the maintenance facilities.
Вогонь припинено.
Our BTRs continue to put pressure on the Russians from the right rear.
Розрив бачу. Розрив бачу. Пристрілка.
Прийнято.
And there's another mystery Russian shooter out there.
Вогонь припинено.
Bloody hell, there's 2 of them. With the way clear on the left, we send an MTLB to check for mines and whether it's safe to move into the maintenance facilities proper.
Пристрілка.
We've now infiltrated with the tank and infantry into the buildings themselves. After a few minutes, there's a Russian counterattack into the maintenance facilities. The counterattack looks like a T-72 and 2 BMP-3s.
Пристрілка. бачу. Відбій.
He's done for. And one of our tanks in the centre gets a snapshot and a BMP behind the hospital. Job well done. With the counter-attack over, we can infiltrate more tanks and BTRs into the maintenance facilities.
Розрив бачу.
And here's just one of the very few infantry firefights in this game.
Пристрілка.
Розрив бачу. Потай.
And one of our BTRs spots and kills a previously unseen BMP.
Розрив бачу. Відбій.
Потай.
Розрив бачу.
This BMP doesn't know what's hit him.
Прийнято.
On the right, we continue to put pressure on the Russians from our BTRs, flanking towards the HQ and the hospital.
Розрив бачу. Відбій. Накривання цілі.
Переносимо вогонь.
More BTRs infiltrate into the maintenance facilities, bringing more firepower.
Коригуйте вогонь. Відбій.
Our engineers and their demo charges need to relocate once again to break into the barracks victory locations. Our tanks on the right are hard pressed with very little ammunition. They still spot Russian vehicles. With Russian resistance weakening, we can push our infantry up through the wheat field in the deep right rear.
Там БТР.
Our missile teams have still got their eye in for the main chance. We should just check in to see what's happening with our bogged vehicles. And both of our tanks on the right have become bogged and immobilized.
Накривання цілі.
This guy must be the luckiest BTR alive. With the engineers breaching walls, we've now entered the barracks victory locations. Drive, Forrest, drive. You can make it.
Коригуйте вогонь. Відбій.
Bloody hell.
Розрив бачу. Відбій. Накривання цілі.
Bloody hell.
Відбій. Коригуйте вогонь.
We've finally taken control of the maintenance facilities and the barracks, now for the admin building.
Пристрілка. Прийнято.
At least the Russian choppers are choosing bad targets.
Прийняв. Поріжний вогонь. Відбій.
We're taking fire from choppers on the left and RPGs on the right.
Бачу. Відбій.
Bloody hell.
Розрив бачу. Відбій.
Sucks to be that guy.
Пристрілка.
The challenge here is to infiltrate through the barracks into the rear areas of the Russian forces. Bloody hell.
Пристрілка.
Прийнято.
Now we've taken control of the admin building victory location. And start putting fire onto the hospital. This is the third tank to drive into the line of sight of a BMP. Will he stay lucky? He can't shoot because he has no ammo. All our infantry with RPGs can take out that BMP. Missed, but that guy's still alive. Now we're real close to the final victory locations, the hospital and the HQ. Russians are surrounded on all sides. Try to set up an ambush for that BMP, stopping our progress towards the HQ. Run, Forrest, run. Run for your life. Our infantry on the right have taken the first row of buildings on their path to capturing the hospital. Our remaining tanks, infantry and BTRs move up to make their assault preparations on the HQ itself.
Стрелка.
Бачу. Відбій. Розрив бачу. Пристрілка.
Our preparations for assaulting the hospital continues, bringing up some BTRs and an MTLB loaded with infantry. The MTLB pushes out under cover of the BTR. Our artillery also provides support. Our infantry reaches the hospital with all guns blazing. Ground floor is secured. We can now pummel the HQ with direct cannon fire. And we have the first signs of surrendering Russians. Very carefully reposition tanks, meaning we can isolate the HQ from Russian reinforcements. Our infantry is gathering nearby to rush the open ground into the HQ itself. With mere minutes of game time left, we push our infantry across the open ground under the cover of BTRs and our tanks. Our engineers again make it to place their charges against the HQ walls. Our forces in the hospital are reinforced and we continue to mop up. And again we send an MTLB laden with infantry towards the victory objective of the HQ. Our infantry continues to take the HQ outbuildings and we see more Russians surrendering. Now our combat engineers blow holes into the HQ, into the building. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the Russians have surrendered. Ukrainians score a major victory. We've lost 1 tank, 27 armoured vehicles and 2 aircraft, and the Russians have lost 7 tanks, 32 armoured vehicles and no aircraft. And on the victory condition parameters, we don't preserve the homes, we don't preserve the church, and we don't preserve the hospital, but we do well on the victory locations. We do well on enemy casualties, but we suffer too many friendly casualties. And looking at the Russians, they suffer too many friendlies and not enough enemy. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Great score, major victory for the Ukrainians. Let's have a look at the map. So in these shots, we'll just run through a few units and their scores, but this scenario, 3 hours long, it's the most difficult game I've ever played of combat mission. Every time I turned around, I felt I was facing 3 or 4 or 5 Russian guns and had to take each one of them out super carefully. And obviously the Russian helicopters hovering overhead 24 hours a day wiped out quite a few of my BTRs and supporting troops. Had to be super careful every time I heard the choppers there put the vehicles in deep within the trees. But every time I saw some artillery come down, I had to unload the vehicles and disperse the troops out of the target zones, especially around the crossroads and similar places. This was a very difficult scenario. Felt like I was never going in, but 3 hours, I'm going to find it very hard to do this one again. With the final score for the campaign, it's a Blue Force tactical victory, which seems pretty underwhelming actually, but given that I've lost so many vehicles, so many troops, such a grinding fight through the last scenario, I bloody well need a holiday. And this is the kind of holiday that I need.
That you got some suntan lotion in that bottle of yours. Spread it all over my peeling skin, baby. That feels real good. All the skirts lapping up the sun, lap